Yo, once again it's on. Back at you one more again, Real Kens TV in the house like kitchen sinks. Hopefully you like the video. Feel free to comment. Definitely share. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. And hit that post notification. So anytime I bring you this action, this heat, guess what? You're amongst one of the first to receive. Now with no further ado, let's get into this evening's video, if you will. 11:46 p.m. Wednesday night. Just getting off work as usual. Got off a little early. It was slow. I had to drop by and, drop a couple lines to my favorite people, my YouTube family. Yesterday was my birthday, October 24th. Another year around the sun, if you will. So I'm just happy to, be here and see another year. I say, you know what? Let me drop a story tonight. It's crazy because I got a call earlier from one of my partners that's unfortunately is incarcerated, at this time. And, we got to talking about his situation and when he might get out or whatnot. And I told him that, if he didn't mind, that I was going to tell my YouTube family, if you will, his current situation and the story that happened to him. And the importance of sometimes minding your own business and walking away from confrontation, even if it is a family member. Because at the end of the day, oftentimes you'll find yourself in a predicament. He was at a party several years ago. Now when I say several, I'm not speaking, 15, 20 years ago. But I would say, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago. And he was at a party. And it was one of those house parties, So it was at somebody's house. Everybody was, just having fun. He's in a different part of the house, doing whatever he's doing at the party. His sister was there. His sister's boyfriend was there. Amongst, they were just amongst the crowd. There was several different people that were there. No confrontations, no problems, or anything of that sort. So, doing what people do at parties. And he tells me that he hears a loud commotion. Now, while I'm painting the picture, I was not there. So I'm going off of the story that he told me. He hears some commotion going on. So when he comes in the other room, he sees that his sister and her boyfriend had gotten into some sort of verbal altercation, if you will. Now, this couple had a history of arguing, fighting, just the police being called on them. It was one of those type of tumultuous relationships, if you will. One minute they love each other, next minute they hate each other. So they had gotten into a confrontation, and according to him, the sister's boyfriend had kind of, jacked her up a little bit. Now, when I say jacked her up a little bit, I'm just figuratively speaking. I don't believe in putting my hands on a woman in any manner. So when I say jacked her up a little bit, it was just for lack of better terms. That was the reason that I said so. Again, I don't condone ever putting your hands on a woman. Never. Just walk away. Just remove yourself from the situation. But nevertheless, that's what happened in this particular situation. He heard that the dude had put his hands on his sister. His sister's going off. She's cussing him out. The mood of the entire party is kind of, I don't necessarily want to say it's been dampened, but everybody went from having a good time and just partying and having fun or whatnot to now these two individuals are arguing and fighting. So the guy, we're going to call him, because I don't want to use his real name. So we're going to call him Pete. I don't know where I got the name Pete from, but we're going to call him Pete. So Pete, confronts the gentleman, and he's like, man, you put your hands on my sister. And so the gentleman's like, man, she was hitting me. She was swinging at me. I was just trying to restrain her. But she's, putting her hands on me. So he's more so, man, she's a female, man. It don't matter what she was doing to you. That gives you no right to put your hands on my sister. So the guy, they start to have words, and they're going back and forth. Now the conversation starts to get heated, if you will. Because this guy, he's being humble about the situation, and he's just trying to explain to Pete, like, listen, man, it's your sister. She's the aggressor. Every time we get into it, she's the aggressor. What am I supposed to do? Just sit here and let her continue to put her hands on me and not defend myself and keep taking all these punches and pushing me and things of that nature? Pete's not trying to hear any of that. In addition, they're at a party, so there's alcohol involved. Pete tells the dude, nah, we got to go outside, bro. The boyfriend's like, come on, man, it's not that serious, man. I'd rather just leave. I'd rather just leave. I don't want to fight you over something that, your sister and I have going. It ain't like I punched her. It ain't like I harmed her physically. I didn't do anything of those sorts. I understand you're a brother. I understand. Pete insisted that the guy step outside. The boyfriend was adamant that he didn't want to go outside. He wanted no parts of Pete. Now, according to Pete, the guy didn't appear to be afraid. He was trying to take the adult route, the adult approach. I'll just remove myself from the situation, Pete. I don't want no trouble. Pete insisted. The guy refused to go outside. Pete swings on him. Once he swings, the guy has no choice but to defend himself. So they begin fighting right there in the house, in the middle of this party. No one's really breaking it up initially. They let them fight. A lot of people want to see a good fight, so they let the guys fight. Next thing you know, they get to, a lot of times when people are fighting, it usually ends up turning into a wrestling match at some point. Not always. Some people are good with their hands, but this particular situation, it turned into a wrestling match. Pete picks the guy up, slams him on the floor. It had wooden floors. They weren't carpeted, it was wood, like hardwood floors. When he slams the guy on the floor, the guy hits his head. Boom. Hits his head on the floor. He's immediately passed out. Pete says that he doesn't know initially that the guy's passed out. And he looks up and he's not moving. Everybody in the party that's watching, they're freaking out. The guy's laying there in the middle of the floor with his arms out, just laid out. Some people were saying, well, maybe it's just that, he's been drinking and maybe that's the cause. Maybe he just, kind of blacked out or whatnot. Couldn't wake him up. They were shaking him and trying to, yelling his name. He never came to. Called 911. Of course, everybody was a little apprehensive about calling 911. It's a house party. No telling what was actually there, the activity that was actually going on. So I guess everybody's scrambling. You have some people leave. You have some people, everybody's just making sure that they don't have anything illegal, something that they're not supposed to have, because they know that the police is coming. Police arrive. They take the gentleman to the hospital. The gentleman ended up being in a coma for maybe a week or so, and they decided that he just wasn't gonna make it. So his family came in. They decided to, take him off the machines. Just like that, the gentleman was gone. The detectives, they wanted to speak to Pete. Pete knew that this particular situation wasn't going to go well. He was already a convicted felon. The police, it was a small town, so the police were already familiar with him. He goes on a run. He's like, I'm not going down there to talk to them. I already know what's going to happen. Pete goes on the run. Pete's running for maybe 5 or 6 months. He ends up getting caught up. When he gets caught up in a whole different case. So now he's fighting this case, and he's a person of interest in the death of this individual that he was fighting. They get him down to interrogation. He tells his side of the story. The detectives pretty much know what happened, but they want to hear Pete's side of the story, not to help Pete, but to put Pete in a worse predicament. That's why I always say, if you find yourself in a scenario to where the police want to question you about something, always tell the police, I need my lawyer present. I need an attorney. That's it. Nothing else needs to be said. I need an attorney. It's a constitutional right. I need my attorney. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. Plead the fifth. But at any rate, they speak to Pete. Pete acknowledges that he slammed the guy they got in a fight. Next thing you know, Pete is charged with murder. Outright murder. Pete's livid. He's scared. He's confused. How y'all gonna charge me with murder when me and this person we got in a fight, a fist fight? There were no weapons. There was no intent. We were fighting. I slammed him. It was an accident that he hit his head on the ground. It's Commonwealth of Kentucky. We don't care anything about accident. You didn't have to fight this gentleman. This gentleman didn't even want to fight you, but you insisted. You started the fight. You were the first person that initiated everything when he was just trying to leave and walk off. The entire time he's in court. You have a murder case, that's a situation where you may be in the county jail fighting your case 2 or 3 years. He's sitting in that county jail over 3 years fighting that case. They refuse to drop the murder charges or amend the murder charges because a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but sometimes they will amend your charges down. So let's just say it's murder. They may amend it down to, let's just say, manslaughter. Sometimes reckless homicide. Now, they all sound bad, but there's a difference because murder, 20 to life in Kentucky. Manslaughter may carry 10 to 20. Reckless homicide carries 1 to 5. So there's different levels of felonies that the prosecution has a opportunity, or a choice rather, to charge you with or to amend your charges down to. Pete goes to trial because they're offering him outrageous numbers, 25, 30 years, something like that. Because not only did he have this murder charge, not only was he a convicted felon, so they were hitting him with the sentence enhancement. He got caught up when they finally did catch him. I think he had some drugs or something like that. But those drugs were the least of Pete's worries. Pete takes his chances, takes it to the box, meaning he went to trial with him. He goes to trial. He ends up getting on the stands, telling, the jury what happened. Typically, when you go to trial, most people don't get on the stands. But Pete wanted to tell his side of the story, to let them know I'm not a monster. This guy, I was protecting my sister. he rather put his hands on my sister. They had an ongoing history of domestic violence between the two of them, and I just got sick and tired of it. That was his story. That's the story he went with. The jury came back with a guilty verdict, but not for murder. I believe they came back with manslaughter. And then he had his other case that he had going on. So Pete ended up getting a total of 14 years. 14 years for the death of this individual that was simply trying to walk away. During the entire time that he's been incarcerated, sister doesn't come see him. Doesn't want to have anything to do with him. She says she'll never speak to him again. That's a brother and sister relationship, and I hope that at some point they're able to get things, in order. Be able to talk about this situation and work on having a relationship again. Pete jumped into a situation that wasn't his situation. See, that happens oftentimes. Guys will hear about their sister. They get into it with another man, and they'll go back and forth. And a week, if that, later, they're right back together. I've seen situations to where the guy jumped in, the brother jumped in. He does something to the guy. Doesn't kill him, but he does something, violent to the guy. The brother gets sent away for 10 to 15 years. And the sister and boyfriend are right back together. So the whole time that the brother's locked up, the sister and boyfriend are still in that same toxic relationship, doing the exact same thing. So that's why I feel as though you shouldn't get involved in that situation. Because oftentimes they're just going to run right back to the person. 9 times out of 10, that's what would happen in this situation. She would have went right back to him, or he would have went right back to her. So now Pete is doing 14 years in prison. 14 years over a situation that he just could have walked away from. A lot of times in life, we have an opportunity to walk away. You don't always have to fight. Fighting is dangerous. Never in a million years did he think that when he slammed that guy, that the guy would hit his head and die. In prison, when people fight, they're trying to put on a demonstration. That's what they call it in prison. I'm going to put on a cold demonstration. Because you're trying to put on a demonstration so that the next person that decides they want to try you, they'll see or they'll recall what you just did to this individual. So I've seen guys get stomped out. When I say stomped out, I mean unconscious, on their feet, unconscious, standing up against the wall. And the guy's still beating them. Every time they hit them, they wake them up. Hit them again, they go to sleep. Hit them again, they wake them up. Hit them again, they go to sleep. Blood on the floor, blood on the wall. Dude's trying to put on a demonstration. Once they hit the ground, they stomp their teeth out. Stomp their face in. Some people have no sort of remorse. Some people have no soft spot in their heart. They're going to try to kill you, man. A simple fight. You got individuals that'll try to kill you. Walk away from a situation unless you just have to fight and defend yourself. The individual that unfortunately passed away, he was in a scenario to where he had to defend himself. He had to fight back. You can't let somebody just sit there and just, beat you. Unfortunately for him, he never made it past this situation. So I guess that would be the message in this video. Don't always be so quick to turn to physicality. Be slow to anger. Think about yourself. Think about your family. Think about your loved ones in a situation that you could potentially put everybody in when you could just walk away. It's my sister. I love her. But they have to deal with their situation. I can't put myself in their business. Real Kens TV. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Feel free to comment. Definitely share, subscribe to the channel. If you're not already subscribed, and hit that post notification. So anytime I bring you this action, this heat, you'll be one of the first to receive it. Now, a couple people before I go, a couple people have been hitting me up. Actually, more than a couple people. They've been hitting me up. And they say, Real Kens, I didn't even know that you've been dropping videos. You know, my notification, you know, it's not notifying me that your videos, I'm not sure exactly what's going on. So you may want to go in and check your settings. I'm going to go in and check my settings and make sure that everything is everything, because I don't know what the deal is, but you can bet your bottom dollar that Real Kens is posting on a regular basis. So if you haven't heard anything from Real Kens or you haven't seen a video, just simply, you know, check my page and I guarantee you that it'll be something there. May not be that day, might be the next day, but we definitely posting. We trying to take this thing to the next level. 6 months in, about 6.5 months in at this point, and we trying to, you know, we trying to go to new heights. I can't get there without you all. So all the people that, you know, support me, I definitely appreciate you. And we're gonna keep this thing rolling. We're gonna keep the ball rolling. Real Kens TV. We out.